I'm hearing
I'm moving my hands around a little bit, so yeah, probably. Can you hear like a buzz? Is it a buzz?
No, it's a boom, boom, boom.
No,
it's like a bumping, thumping.
Yep. I was moving it, so I kept hitting my knee on the table. So,
all right,
weren't you a drummer?
Like this sound? Like
knock it off. Yeah, don't ever fucking do it again.
Hey, who's got the game on?
We are live now.
Who's got the game on?
Jennifer?
Okay.
Jennifer.
Oh,
what game is on?
Nice catch, Hayes. Don't ever do it again. Oh, I should be careful.
All
There's
right,
probably
we
kids
hear
running
something
around there
opening.
in Jennifer's house.
Exactly.
Sorry, I was just finishing up dinner.
Oh, sorry.
What
Don't
time
mean
did
to
you
bother
get
you,
off work? Did you work today, Jennifer?
No, I'm on maternity leave. I had a baby about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that's right.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. No kidding. And you got a little something in your teeth there. Just kidding. Just a little
Kim.
schmutz.
Hi, you guys. Hi, everybody.
what's up, Kim?
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Kim.
Hi
Hi.
there. Hi. Hi, Mama. How you doing? Are you drinking?
Good.
Is she drinking?
I'm
I love it.
For you guys.
It's healthy. You got to have a glass of wine every day.
Yes, you
right?
do. Absolutely.
Yes.
I love it.
One glass every.
Cool. Okay, let me get my drink. I'll be right back.
Shouldn't there be a disclaimer or something?
Partially.
You should have a drink every day if you just had a baby.
And continue that as they get older.
Right.
You drink more as they get older.
Ah, yes.
All right, hey, Jennifer, I'm going to have you talk a little bit because we seem to be losing your audio a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me?
There we can
Hello?
hear you.
Okay.
Yep. Maybe it's just when more people are talking, we might lose you a tad.
Maybe so.
And also just a reminder not to try and have other people streaming at the same time because they might be stealing your bandwidth. So just make sure no one's on the Xbox or streaming Netflix or whatever.
Okay.
Phil, do you have an Xbox?
No, I've got a PS4.
Are you
boys do.
kidding me? Oh my gosh. That's a bad dad
What?
right there. That's a bad dad.
What?
You
Why
don't
is that?
buy you just it's just never I don't want to get
What's
into
wrong
it.
with the PS4?
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
You guys.
All right.
Hey, Dina, it's great to have you back.
I know. I've been like, oh my God, the whole team's together.
I know. Just,
Did you get
just for
sand-
Jennifer.
Sandblasted?
Who?
Did you get Dina, did you get sandblasted at all? Or you were inside the whole time, weren't you?
No, I'm inside. I didn't
that's
go
right, I
out.
forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't go? Did you go outside at all? You had to have gotten some of the action. Be like,
No.
you know, some 60. Oh, that
Wow.
sucks.
My Apple Watch says, "Get your lazy ass out of your chair." It says, "Stand up, stand up, stand up." Like, oh my God,
Gosh, Dina.
3
hours and
minutes.
hours on end.
All right. Well, just a reminder to everybody, mute your phones.
yeah.
If you have to mute your microphone, like if it gets loud in the back or the kids are running around, at the top of your screen, Jennifer, there is a little microphone icon.
Okay. Oh,
So
I see it.
if you need to mute yourself or
Okay.
if it's noisy in the background, go ahead and do that. Just unmute it before you talk, obviously.
Okay.
Those with your microphone, keep it close to you. Keep your head as close to the top of the screen as you can. So the little icon, so all of us down at the bottom don't cut your chin off.
Or we just see your forehead.
See your
Remember?
forehead, right?
It was an awesome show.
Hi. I think the best part of doing. Okay. What else did I need to say? If you get knocked off, just reconnect with the link that you have.
Just have fun.
And at the opening, we run a video, Jennifer.
2 minutes.
During the video, just you have to be quiet or mute your mic
Okay.
because it'll pick that up. It's kind of, we call this Stormfront Freaks Raw. I think I might have told this to you. We're really an audio podcast, but we started showing everybody our recording since we were doing it live anyway.
Right.
But we call it Stormfront Freaks Raw because it's like low tech. We're like, yeah.
My style.
We're up in the ante here a little bit, but it's still raw. So we say, hey, if you're gonna watch the recording, realize you're just watching the recording.
Right. So fabulous.
All right. So good.
1 minute.
Jennifer, I see you're at your
1
bar.
minute.
I see you're at the bar, Jennifer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, she does. She has a cool setup there.
Yeah, she does.
Not as cool as Tim's.
All
One day.
I got lots of beer in the fridge still.
right.
And that's pretty cool.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
And you're good. And Kim, you're good with the intro. You're ready to do that too.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm
When
ready
it
to go.
comes time. Awesome. All right.
Yes.
Have a good show, people.
You too, buddy.
No, you have a good show.
Well, that just goes without
Hey, we're
saying.
all together.
That goes without saying.
I know.
Hey, now don't make Sander feel bad because Sander's not here and he is part of the team now.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we're missing
true.
one. We're missing one.
10
so
seconds.
we're kind of missing one. But
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, you can mute, folks. Here we go. From tornadoes to hurricanes, blizzards, and everything in between, you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. Stormfront Freaks are former television meteorologist Mark Massaro, atmospheric science graduate and skywarn storm spotter Brady Harris, digital meteorologist and weather producer on the Weather Channel app Dina Knightley, former on-camera meteorologist at the Weather Channel Kim Cunningham, Emmy-winning storm chaser and photographer Chris Sanner, and I'm your announcer and Skywarn Network coordinator Mark Johnson. Now, here's the moderator of the Stormfront Freaks podcast, Skywarn storm spotter and chaser Phil Johnson.
all right, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast, and we have a dog apparently in the audience.
What the heck?
Someone's
was that?
excited.
That was a hype. That was getting hype.
It's beautiful. And for those of you watching our recording, it's Stormfront Freaks Raw. And if it's your first time listening, welcome. Be sure to catch our last episode with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV's William Cole, or you can catch our previous shows with guests like the Weather Channel's Jim Cantori. We've had Extreme Storm Chaser Reed Timmer. You can go back in our catalog and check all of those. But this is episode 36, and our guest this week is meteorologist and weather correspondent for CNN, Jennifer Gray.
Yay.
We'll also be discussing the mixed messages TV weather channels are sending to the public in regards to tropical storms and hurricanes. And don't forget, stick around for our Titan U Minute, Weather Fools, WX Resources, listener comments, and at this point, really, we don't know what else. So you always want to stay tuned. But let's quick introduce the team. It's always happy hour while we're recording. So let's find out what everybody's drinking. MJ up in Minnesota, what do you have?
All right, well, it is the last day of summer, at least as we record this, so I went to the refrigerator and pulled out my last can of Liney's Summer Shandy in honor.
Wow.
There you go. It's sad. There goes summer.
Was it hot up in Minnesota today?
Yes, it was about 85, and we're supposed to have a heat index of 100 tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Let's go.
Sizzle.
It's good to pull that out. And we got Dina back after Harvey and Irma took their share of Dina's time.
Yes.
Yeah, but what do you got, Dina? What are you drinking?
All right. So you know I love Wonder Woman, right?
We know that, yes.
I
We
did
know.
this drink when the movie came out, and now the DVD has been released. So I have the Wonder Woman drink in my Wonder
yes.
Woman glass
Mm.
and a Wonder Woman shirt.
Wow.
So
And-
it's
and-
really good. I'm going to tweet the recipe. It's fabulous.
Wonder
sweet.
Woman is strong, so I'd have to imagine the drink kind of goes along with that. Yes?
It's good. It's different. It's wonderful. We'll just say it like
Good.
that.
Tina,
All
Tina
right,
doesn't
good.
drink strong drinks. What are you talking about?
They always have fruit.
Constantly.
Fruit. All right, Maz, you're in Cincinnati. What are you drinking tonight?
Yeah, and so from MJ, the end of summer, I'm back to my Leinenkugel Oktoberfest. It's really
wow.
good. I had it last week, and I'm like, darn, this is good. So it's limited. I don't know how long it's limited, but I'm drinking it.
October, just October.
Till October, right?
All right, then we got Kim is down in Atlanta. Kim, what are you drinking tonight? What IPA are you drinking tonight, I should ask?
How did you know that? I am drinking, yes, just a feeling. Ballast Point. This is the grapefruit sculpin. I love the regular sculpin. So this is the first time for me to have the grapefruit sculpin, but I want you to see what I'm drinking it out of. You see it? Can you see it?
Frankenstein.
Oh, there we go.
Kind of creepy.
I am
Here
ready.
comes Halloween.
It's time. I've had my decorations up for about 2 weeks.
I was wondering if you had your Halloween decorations
Oh,
up.
those
I
for sure
know.
gotten blown off though, right? After some winds came through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any skeletons?
That's what I was going to ask, yes.
We have
Skeletons are coming out
What
tonight.
episode was
Literally.
that?
We literally have about 8 skeletons that we put on the house. Outside, you know, we hang them up out there. So yeah, I'm ready.
All right,
Kim could charge
Brady.
admission.
Hey, we're gonna go to Brady, and he's not in Naples, Florida. I had written down that
No.
you might be in Naples, but you are not.
No. Well, I thought I was gonna be live broadcasting from the beach with the storm in the background, hurricane force winds. But unfortunately, it didn't work out like that. So I'm back in Columbus, and I'm drinking a Rheingeist, those Cincy people.
All right. I love it.
Oktoberfest. It is incredible. I usually am like a summer beer kind of guy, wheat, but this is pretty good.
Hans and Franz, right?
Yeah.
How's the calories on that for your
Bambua.
figure?
Well, we're not worrying about that right now. Yeah, I'm not in that diet phase.
You're
now.
not back on the diet?
I'm still no. I've worked it off the past couple of days.
Okay.
Wait, I saw a
Cleaning up the
video
yard.
of him on the beach going, "Which way is the beach?"
He brought the gun show down to Naples, didn't he?
Big time.
All right. Well, speaking of Cincinnati beer, that's what I'm drinking tonight from good old Mad Tree.
Awesome.
Just tonight, they actually released their Pilgrim beer for the first time in cans. This is my favorite all-time beer. It only comes out around Thanksgiving time. It is an ale with cranberries, vanilla beans, and other natural flavors, but it's got a Captain Crunch aftertaste to it. If you ever had Captain
No way.
Captain Crunch beer.
Is it like a IPA or what kind of?
It's like a pale ale. I'd say more like a pale ale.
Okay. So it's a little hoppy. Okay.
Not too hoppy, not like an IPA hoppy, but there's a little to it.
Yeah,
but,
a little hop to it.
But
You
good.
You guys are
fun.
like the beer connoisseurs, like wine connoisseurs.
Well, I'm both. I'm
Yes.
kind of multifaceted. I can review both. So.
He's the Scotch connoisseur. All right, well, and then I'm actually
Here we
going to
go.
jump to our guest tonight, who apparently is joining us for happy hour. Jennifer is in Atlanta. What are you drinking, Jennifer?
Well, since I just had a baby about 3.5 weeks ago, I'm saving my 1 glass of wine per night for you guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is cheers. This is a glass of Chardonnay. It's from Washington State in honor of my husband. And when you've basically been dry for about a year, it doesn't matter what it is, how good it is.
Yeah.
I love
Was
it.
it open to like a year ago, and you're like, "I'll drink it"?
That's
Yeah,
what
We just-
doesn't matter.
We just hope she doesn't pass out before we're done with the
I
show.
know. Oh,
If you haven't
God.
had
It's
it
so
for
awesome.
a year. We'll see what happens. Well, good. Well, now that we know you're ready to have some fun, Jennifer, let's get to your formal introduction. And
Okay.
Kim, take it over.
Oh, I'd love to introduce this lovely lady. As you said earlier, Phil, she's currently a meteorologist at CNN, on-camera meteorologist at CNN. But before that, Jennifer was a weekend morning show meteorologist and actually a feature reporter for WTVJ in Miami. She covered severe weather, of course, any tropical weather, and also producing specials that focused on hurricane preparedness and safety, which is so awesome. She holds a BS in Geosciences, broadcast meteorology program at Mississippi State, also a BA in broadcast journalism from Northwestern State University in Louisiana. She also holds a seal of approval from the AMS, and she is a huge Saints and LSU fan. I got to get that in there. Also, a lot of you may not know this, but Jennifer is an avid fisherwoman. or if you want, whatever you want to call
good.
her. She has a passion for fishing. She's actually been on the cover of Florida Sportsman, which is so cool. And also she's big into ocean conservation and has done a lot of speeches around the country trying to get people aware of what's going on in the ocean. So Jennifer, we're so happy to have you. And I know being a mom, a new mom, that I know you're very excited, and we just are so happy for you. But I think a lot of us are interested in women meteorology, the fact that you are a meteorologist, but also you've got this love for oceans and for what's going on in the ocean. What got you started in all of this?
Well, what got me started in meteorology goes back to when I was in high school. I did this internship with one of the meteorologists at the local station, and Janine Diadamo, she's still in weather. She does some work in Naples and Orlando. She was my mentor in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I fell in love with what she did. And she basically taught me the ropes at a very, very young age. And so I went and followed through with that. Interesting how I got the internship, though. When I was in high school, it was sort of this career mentorship program where you could get out of school for half a day if you went on a job site. And so I was like, sign me up. And I had a friend that knew someone at the TV station. I was like, what? I'd never even thought about doing anything in news or even weather. But luckily I did, and I fell in love with it basically because of her. And my fishing background goes back to when I was probably 4 years old, fishing off the dock at my grandmother's lake house off the pier, and just grew up loving it. Started tournament fishing a little bit in my 20s. And then when I moved to Florida to work at WTVJ, I started saltwater fishing and loved that. Started hosting a fishing show in Miami. And I did that for a season, and then started doing some ocean conservation work with Guy Harvey, and just goes on from there. But yeah, I love the ocean conservation aspect of it. I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with meteorology and climate, and ocean conservation. It's all sort of this tangled web. So I love it all.
What's the fish that you really want to catch? Like, have you had a rainbow yet?
Rainbow trout?
Yeah.
Yes. I caught my biggest one up here in North Georgia, actually.
Really?
There.
Any sharks? Caught any sharks?
Yeah, what's the biggest fish you ever caught?
The biggest fish I ever caught was probably, I was in Nova Scotia. We were doing a tagging expedition with Guy Harvey and a couple of scientists, and we were tagging the bluefin tuna, and I caught a 900-pound bluefin tuna. And that was
wow. Oh my gosh. What did you do with it?
It's still in the freezer.
It was tasty.
Sushi for everyone.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were on this big 50-foot lobster boat, the steel hull boat, and the fish dragged us like 5 miles while we were trying to reel it in. The reel was as big as your head. I mean, it was huge. And
Crazy.
Oh my God.
The reel was attached to me. I was attached to the chair, and the chair was attached to the boat. So we weren't going anywhere without the fish.
Oh, God.
It's like Jaws.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Jennifer, you've been a lot of different stations. What would you say has been the craziest storm / hurricane / weather event you've had to cover in all your years?
Probably the most memorable was my very first tornado aftermath, because I was 21 years old. I was a young meteorologist, just super eager. I worked all day. We knew we had a severe weather outbreak that night, and so I stayed there overnight. I was working at Beaumont, touchdown about an hour and a half north of Beaumont in Jasper County. And that morning, right after daybreak, my boss said, head up there, see what you can find. And so, being a young meteorologist, I was pumped. I was like, let's get up there, let's see what happened, and we made the drive up there. And then once I got there was when it kind of became very real what this job was. And it just humbled me so much, because you see that, the weather happens all around you. As a meteorologist, you get, you see these incredible, hurricanes that are forming out in the ocean. You see it on satellite, and for us, we were seeing this storm on radar. It was massive. And so we get up there and you see all the destruction, and your jaw hits the ground, and you're like, wow, this this is real. These are real lives. These are real people that we're dealing with. And I'll never forget, I saw this guy in a wheelchair, and he, you know, was out on the sidewalk where everyone was looking at the destruction. I mean, we saw pine needles stuck in the tree trunks, you know, like everyone talks about. And I was dumbfounded. And he said that there was a house that was just completely gone. And he said that was his house, that someone came in and carried him out of the rubble and saved his life. And from that day on, I don't think I ever looked at my job the same. You know, it was a very, very real moment. And that's probably the one thing that sticks out of my mind the most.
Wow.
So where have you been? Like, what are some of the stations you've been at?
So I started in Beaumont, Texas, at Channel 4 there. And it was an NBC affiliate. And then I went up to Shreveport, Louisiana, which is my hometown. That's where I did the internship with Janine Diadamo, director at the time.
Love her.
She's great. After I finish my internship, she said, go to college, get some experience, and come back and I'll hire you. And she did.
Oh,
and
nice.
Oh, wow,
same news director when I was an intern. So she hired me. I worked there for 2 years, and then went to Miami to WTVJ. Ended up going back to Shreveport for a couple of years, and then back to TVJ. So I worked at 2 stations twice, and then came up to Atlanta to CNN. And I've been there for 4 years.
And you know, some people may not know this, but Jennifer is married to Chris Warren of the Weather Channel. And tell us how you guys met. How did this happen?
Yeah, he's standing just off screen watching our little guy. So
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
he says hi. So I met him at a weather conference, the AMS broadcast conference in Nashville, Tennessee. He was already working for the Weather Channel. I was in Miami, and I'll never forget walking in that room. You know, you try to scope out the room at these conferences to see if you know someone. And I spotted Mike Bettis because I knew him. He was the only one in the room I knew. And I was there with my friend from Miami. And so I go sit by him, and Chris was sitting behind him. And so this is where our stories vary, because I think Mike introduced us, but Chris thinks that he introduced himself. Well,
I definitely introduced myself. Mike wasn't introducing me to pretty girls.
Yeah, so it was the closest thing to love at first sight you could get.
Aw.
That's cool.
Before this, but by the end of the conference, we had my ticket booked to Atlanta to come visit him. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and now we're married and have a little boy.
So is that what brought you to CNN, or how did that all transpire?
Wow, that just fell out of the sky. I was actually, it's funny because Chris always tells everyone that he wished that I would have stayed in Miami a little longer because he loved coming to visit. I was going to stay there for, at least another contract. So we'd only been dating about 5 or 6 months. But this job came about. I had just hired an agent, and she called me. She was renegotiating my new contract with NBC. And called me out and was like, hey, CNN's looking for meteorologists. Would you be interested in going to talk to them? And I didn't think a thing of it. I really didn't think I would ever work for the network. I love local news and local weather. And so but I would never turn down an interview. So I went up there really not thinking anything of it. And
But it's
maybe that's why I got the job, because I felt no pressure on myself at all. I was talking to who's now my boss, about the Bears season, the Chicago Bears season, and it was just very laid back, and I ended up getting the gig and fell in love with CNN. I called my agent after that interview and I said, I love it here. I want to work here, and so one thing leads to another, and here I am.
Do you tip your agent a little more for
that? Yeah, she deserves it for sure. I mean, it's been a great gig. I've loved every minute of it. It's been weird the past few weeks sitting back and watching an eclipse, 3 storms, landfall, and just watching from behind the scenes. But yeah,
some say you timed it perfectly.
Right. Yeah, there's really no place I'd rather be right now. But it is weird watching it from behind, not being there.
Jennifer, what do you think in terms of like local news or local weather versus national weather? Which you like more, and what are kind of the differences that you've seen in broadcasting like that?
What I loved about local weather is you felt such a connection to the community. Being local, you just focused on that one area. The viewers knew you, you knew them. There was just a really strong connection, and especially ahead of storms, you were, I felt like you were really out front, trying to warn people and things like that, which we do the same at CNN, but it's on such a broad scale that you kind of lose that community connection that you had in local news. We spend 30 seconds to a minute in the mornings talking about the entire country's weather. So it's hard to basically, pinpoint that local feel. You get more time, of course, when you have rain-falling storms like we have this week. But in general, it's, feels more broad, a little bit more disconnected.
Hey, Jennifer, can you ask Chris what the score is behind you? I've been trying to.
I'll tell you the score. San Francisco 7, LA 17.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you.
This way a little bit so you can watch from behind.
There's no money.
Over a little bit.
All right. So, how long you been at CNN?
I've been there for 4 years.
So, is Chad Meyer still there?
Yes, he is.
He's been there
So,
a long time.
He's my fraternity brother. We went to school together in Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
He's
Yeah.
a good guy.
So, what do you think about him? Just kidding.
No, I love Chad. I think he's great. I think that he's one of the best at explaining things. He can explain anything and make you understand it no matter what it is. And he's very, very talented at what he does. And he's very, very good at just getting the point across, because that's one of the biggest things at CNN. We just don't have a lot of time to talk about things. We have very limited time to get the point across. Whereas, Chris, the Weather Channel, they're talking about weather all the time, and so Chad's really good at just getting to the point and making it simple where people can understand it. And I admire that about him.
Yeah, I had a student loan that hadn't come in yet, and I was freaking out. He's like, "What do you need?" I go, like $500. He goes, "Come on, let's go to the ATM." He just whips out $500 for me.
Aww.
I was like, "Brothers forever, man."
That's nice.
So Jennifer, I'm dying to know, because I think a decent amount of people know kind of like what local meteorologists do. What does like the average day look, like for you at CNN? Because that's a whole different ballgame.
It is, and I guess the difference in CNN versus local news is we have a whole team of people to help put us on the air. We're in local. You're making the maps, you're updating the web, you're making the forecast, you're doing everything. You really got to give props to the producers once you get on the network level, because they do so much of the heavy lifting with making these beautiful graphics, and it's such a team effort. I mean, we all discuss the forecast, and we all have our ideas about what we want, but at the end of the day, they're really the ones that make the magic and make the graphics beautiful and make us look good. So that's probably the biggest difference. We have a lot more support, and so there's a lot more that we can do and we can put on television, and which actually makes it a lot more fun at the end of the day.
So what are your hours like? I'm sorry, Dina.
That's good.
My hours, I have probably the greatest hours ever. So I go in around 11. I start at noon is my start time. And then I'm there until ... So if there's a big weather event happening, I would be on the hook until about 10 o'clock.
That's not bad.
Most of the time when the weather's quiet, CNN doesn't really cover much weather unless weather's making news. And so, I'll dodge out of there around 5.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible! Oh my gosh, sign me up.
Hey, I've
What's
got
your
a
average segment time that they give you?
When I'm filling in for Chad and I do New Day on the mornings, they get about 20 to 30 seconds normally.
Oh, that's quick.
It's
like
quick.
2 graphics, maybe.
Gotta get a lot of information in there. Holy crap!
I can get about 4 or 5 graphics in there. I struggle to get 3. So, but if there's something happening, if we have a tornado in action, if we have a landfalling storm, I mean, they've been getting the last couple of weeks 4 and 5 minutes for a hit. So it all basically is dependent upon what's happening. In the mornings they do a little bit more weather than the primetime shows that I do. those are the ones where they really just do weather if weather's making news. You know, they're not just going to have us up there doing a generic forecast. And I think that was one of the challenges when I started at CNN to sort of get accustomed to, because in local news you have certain times, you have 2.5 minutes to talk about this, or 3.5 minutes. It's very structured. At CNN, it's not structured at all. I mean, you could be sitting there packing your bags to go home, and an earthquake happens somewhere, and they're saying, "Okay, we need you now to talk about this," and you're, you know, scrambling.
Wait, let me look at it first.
Yeah, they're like, "Go," you know, and so you just talk because you have to, you know, until they can get a lot of those people on that, you know, they want to interview from there on out. One of the other interesting things I did was or one of the most impactful things I did probably for CNN was the fires in Gatlinburg. You guys remember that? Yeah. I was up, they called me, I was about to go to bed. It was 10:30 at night, and they called me and said, "Hey, these fires." And I had been looking at it on Twitter and said, "Wow, this is a big deal." And they called and they said, "We need you to get up there." So we got in the car and drove, and we got there around 5 in the morning, and we were ready to do live shots for the 6 a.m. show.
So did you ever sleep that night?
Oh, no, we never slept. We were up the whole next day. But of all the things I've covered at CNN, that was probably the most impactful. That was the one that probably tugged at my heartstrings the most. It was awful, awful. People losing everything and just escaping with the clothes on their back. So you see a lot of, you know, as you guys all know, covering these things, it can be tough sometimes.
So talking about going out and covering things out in the field like that, we have a viewer who asked a question for you, Jennifer. Says, how do you feel when the Weather Channel sends Chris out on major storm, events?
Well, what if I get jealous for where he's going or something like that? Well, I don't. Most of the time, I don't know how I mean, I don't think it's ever been where, you know.
You get sent to the better stuff than I do.
He thinks I get sent to the better. We've been to the same location once, and that was it Hermine?
Yeah, we ended up.
We ended up in Apalachicola. We were both in Apalachicola for a night in Hermine, and then the very first Boston snowstorm. Remember when Boston had back to back snowstorms years ago? Yep. The first storm, we were on the same flight, but when we landed, I went to Boston with my producer, and he went to Providence with his, Rhode Island. But yeah, well, no, we don't really compete within the household.
Very smart.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this: we've got Jennifer besides yourself, obviously, with Kim and Dean on here as well. Some very strong meteorologists, female meteorologists, and I'm always curious as to, and obviously Dina and Kim, you guys can chime in on this as well, but I'm always curious as to the challenges that you guys have faced and overcome, and where you see maybe boundaries breaking down with females in television and weather. We hear it all the time, and I think we'd be remiss, and our listeners would be remiss not to hear, Jennifer, from you and others as to what you faced and where you see things have come and improved over the last few years.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, why don't you start?
Okay. Well, I guess when I first got into television, it was 2003, and there were a lot fewer female meteorologists than there are now. So, for instance, if you worked in local news, you would have maybe one female meteorologist at the station tops. You rarely saw more than one female at a local station. Where now, you know, especially in the market where I worked in Miami, sometimes the majority of the meteorologists there were women. So I think that's one of the things that's changed in such a positive way. I think that more and more women are getting into the science and meteorology, and I think that the more women that do it, the better, because we just need more people in it in general. And I think that, you know, that's one of the positive things that's happened with meteorology. As far as like things that I've dealt with, I don't know. I've had such a very positive experience at all the places that I've been. I mean, I remember struggles early on in some of my earlier markets, just figuring out this whole TV thing and finding your place and things like that. But as far as other places that I've been, I feel like, you know, most of the people have been very supportive. I think as a woman, I haven't felt, I don't know how to put it, that I haven't had to really compete with the men at the station. I've had very, very nice people that have taught me so much. So I don't know. Cam, maybe you have something to add to that.
No, I totally.
Not so much what you've experienced personally, but what you've seen in others, since you all have kind of been in local and national markets.
Especially by viewers, too. Address that as well.
Man, this could be a whole Dr. Phil show.
Sure could.
Hey, my name's Phil.
There you go.
Oh, no, don't.
Doctor's in.
That's a whole different
97?
podcast. I'm not going that.
And things have changed, and some have gotten better, and it depends, I think, on I think as I've gotten older and been in this, you have to decide how you want to carry yourself and what you'll put up with and what you won't. You pick your battles. I mean, there's been times where I've had a male producer come over and look around, and he's like, I said, what do you need? He's like, oh, I'm looking for a meteorologist. Where's John? He's right over there. Go walk your ass right over there now. You know, but you know, it's also how you present yourself. And I think confidence, when you're confident in your abilities and confident in yourself, that radiates out. If you let it, it could overwhelm you.
Right.
I think
that. I feel like, you know, as a female, you know, especially lately, the last couple of years with Twitter, anybody can say anything, and, you know, you can get 50 great comments, but the one person that's going to say something negative, that's the thing that's going to stay with you the rest of the day or the rest of the week. It's exactly right. You have to decide who you're going to be. You can't try to be someone else. And, you know, if someone doesn't like it, sorry, you know, you're who you are, and you have to be confident in that. If not, some of the trolls will just eat you alive. You know, you have to have thick skin for sure.
And, you know, another thing is, you know, for women, especially when, you know, you're surrounded by a lot of male meteorologists, I think a lot of times we like to just withdraw, and if we don't have the confidence to kind of interject and join in the conversation, then we get left out. So any advice to women out there who want to get into the field, make sure that you jump into the conversation, because then you gain respect and you get more confident. But don't sit back just because there's a group of male meteorologists having a conversation about the computer models. Jump in, get in there.
And hold your ground.
And hold your ground, absolutely. You know, don't let them, you know, talk you out of something if there's something you don't believe in. Darn right.
Wait, Kim, weren't you in the Air Force and with a gun too? So,
yes.
Just, you know,
tough. So maybe have a gun too.
There will be no mansplaining here, baby.
Well, that's good. Let's. I want to get a little of your feedback on that, and I think with Jennifer on tonight too, I wanted to hear a little on that end. But Jennifer, tell our listeners how they can follow you on social media.
My Twitter handle is @JenniferGrayCNN, and I believe that's my Instagram as well, Jennifer Gray CNN. Yeah, there you go.
Good. So so now we just told all the trolls, obviously, how to follow you. So let's do this. It's time for our lightning round, Jennifer. This is our speed round of fun questions for our guest, and we are going to get the Stormfront Freaks co-hosts involved in this tonight, but we're going to play Parenting 101.
Ooh.
Because everybody, I think, on the show, minus Brady that we're aware of.
So he says.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go down the row with our co-hosts. I'm going to ask them a question. They're going to give me an answer, and it has to do with either the answer to the question's either going to be the father or the mother. Okay, so it's kind of a fact, and they'll give you an answer, father or mother. Jennifer, it's up to you to agree or disagree. based on your own experience.
Wait, who's meowing? That's what I want to know.
Not me.
That
It
was
is
Brady.
Not me.
That
No,
was
it's not. You saw, no. Oh my.
All right. So on that note, Brady, we'll start with you and your cat.
Oh, that's not in here.
Here's the question. 52% of these say they are the primary grocery shoppers. Are those the fathers or the mothers?
You know, my first instinct was mother, but I think that's because you wanted us to say that, so I'm going to say father.
All right, so Jennifer, Brady thinks, and Brady's, by the way, not a parent, so keep this in mind.
Well, as far as you know.
There's not much of it.
That's true, as far as I know. So he said the fathers are the 52% that say they do the primary grocery shopping. Do you agree or disagree?
Disagree.
And you would be incorrect.
Hey.
It is the fathers that do that.
No.
Now here's the key.
It's because they say.
Organization.
They say.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh, they
exactly.
say it. Okay.
Of
So
course, the pride
52% of
got
the
way too
fathers
much
say
pride.
they're the primary grocery shopper.
I bought a 6-pack once.
They do that because they go out and buy the extra cookies and cakes.
I bought the lottery tickets tonight, babe.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Next one, Dina. This is you. So
Okay.
Dina's a mother, Jennifer. So this I'd have a little faith here. On average, which gets the most spent on them during Father's or Mother's Day? Do the fathers get the most spent on them on average, or do the mothers get the most spent?
The
on them?
mothers. The mothers.
The mothers. So
Yeah.
Jennifer, you're yet to experience a Mother's Day, so it's coming. But what do you think?
I think I'm going to have to agree with you on that.
And you would be correct. It is the mothers
Yay.
that get the most spent on them.
And
Very
Chris,
good.
if you're listening, it better be.
It's good.
That's right.
And Jen, wait till your son starts making you little Mom's Day cards and stuff. It's
Oh, you'll probably frame them.
I always just got my mom coffee, so that's all right.
Oh, that's coffee
All right.
important.
All right, we're moving. Kim, this is you. So we have another mother.
Okay.
So whose level of education has a greater impact on the child's future success in school? Is it the father or the mother?
Ooh.
It's a loaded question.
I'm gonna have to say father.
Okay. So Jennifer, Kim says father. Do you agree or disagree?
I feel like I just read about this study, and I want to say it was the mothers, but that's only because I feel like I read it. Is that right? Is it the mom?
It is incorrect. It is the father.
Mm.
The father's level of education has a greater impact on the child's future success. Now, that doesn't mean the mother doesn't. I think it was a 7-4 relationship or something like that. But father has a bigger impact. Is all that is.
Man.
All right, Maz. Maz is the dad.
I've also been called a mother. Just to
This-
let you know.
All right, this is a good question, and I want Jennifer to respond based on experience on this one. But Maz, who changes a diaper faster, the dad or the mom?
The mom.
Okay.
I still have tape on me from stuff, and my kids are
Oh,
usually great
It's
at
not
all.
tape.
you wash your hands, right, man?
It's duct tape.
Right?
You can
All right,
duct tape
Jennifer.
everything.
Maz thinks it's the mother that changes the diaper faster. What's your experience been?
Well, since I'm such a veteran, 3.5 weeks in, I will tell you though, our son hates having a dirty diaper and loves having his diaper changed. I think
Aw.
the table is his
Aw.
favorite place to be. It's hilarious. So there, I don't know who changes a diaper faster. It kind of depends on how fussy he is.
Chris, you mean? Is he fuzzy?
I think I'm going to choose it myself. The mom.
All right, so here's so what did you say, father or mother?
The mom.
The mom. Okay, so here are the numbers. The mother changes the diaper on average in 2 minutes and 5 seconds. The father changes the diaper on average in 1 minute 36 seconds.
Let's
He wants
go.
to get out of there as soon as possible.
Because they don't know what the hell they're
Done.
doing.
And they don't care what it looks like. Like the moms will get it perfect. It'll be wrapped
Wait,
up right.
Oh, there was tape? I didn't know there was
There'll be
tape.
tape up on the kid's head by the time the dad's
But then the moms have to fix it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Correct. All right.
And the dads are like, "What are wipes? What are wipes for?" You know, they don't even wipe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. What? MJ?
We lost Jennifer.
Oh, we lost Jennifer.
Boy, it's me,
we'll have to-
Jennifer.
We'll have to make an edit here.
She's English now. That's nice.
She had to change his diaper.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be right back.
She's like, all right, I got 2 minutes. Go.
Speaking of,
Oh man.
Wow, that was
Okay,
a good
so
one, Phil.
How many barometers does she have in like the background of her? Can you
Like
count?
two. I'm like 2 from
I
last.
thought I
Are they
saw
all
a third one.
maybe like one's thermometer,
Yeah, one's a
one's
thermometer, but I saw
barometer.
at least two barometers and maybe a third.
hygrometer?
Yeah.
Gets pretty windy in their house.
An anemometer.
Only a
Yeah.
You know, I
diaper
have to
changing
say
time.
that AccuRite weather station, awesome.
Oh, you
That
liking
one
that?
Yeah, I love
had
it.
to say
I've got one of those too. It works pretty
Really?
good.
too. I had to get a new piece for it because the fan wasn't working, and actually it was reading temperatures outside when the sun was on it, like it wasn't in the shade. So at my house it was like 95
Yeah.
degrees. So they
I
sent me a
actually
new
have some
piece.
problems with that.
Oh.
The Lincoln Airport's like
You guys
that.
should have got that instead of the Red Cross whistle. Dang.
It was great during like Irma. I think I got like almost 4 inches of rain. It
wow.
totaled it up
I
real
had over
well.
5. I had over
Wow.
5.
5?
You guys are so competitive.
We'll have,
Yeah.
just so you guys know, I've got 4 or 5 companies that are sending product for our
Whoa.
our Black
I can't
Friday
wait.
episode. So
Is
you
one of
guys
them
will-
Gucci?
No.
Yeah, right.
I want to know about this.
Want a
twin-
purse, Maz? A new purse?
You were asking.
Hey,
Okay.
I could sell it.
Oh yeah. So anyway, I've been wanting to do this. I've been wanting to get in touch with a mixologist or a good bartender to come up with drinks for Stormfront Freaks podcast that are custom drinks. And so I ran across these couple of gals on the Nextdoor app. Are you familiar with the Nextdoor?
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like a neighborhood app. But anyway, someone was advertising these gals are bartenders and they'll come to parties and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, would you guys want to do some custom drinks for us? And you can come on the show and advertise
That would be fun.
your bartending services. And they said, sure.
Wait.
So
They're coming to your house?
no. They're going to be on I'm hoping to get them on our Black Friday holiday shopping show.
Oh, that'll be
Number
fun.
one, to start it off, because I figured we can drink, obviously, for the holidays. They can advertise themselves a little bit for potential holiday parties. They're local, so I don't know what kind of local advertising they'll get from that.
We
but,
got her back.
and she's back.
We're back
Hey.
in 5, 4.
Hey, Jennifer, can I ask you a quick question? Do you have earbuds by chance that you can put in?
I think
Headphones or earbuds or something like that, just because we had been getting some feedback, and I think that's probably where that's been coming from is
okay.
not having earbuds in.
Let's load it up.
Okay, while you're doing that, how many barometers do you have in the background? We've been trying to figure this out. Oh, she didn't hear me.
Yeah, she
how many
didn't hear you.
how many barometers do you have in your background?
How many barometers? 1, 2.
Jeez.
I think just 2. This bar is called the Barometer, and I built it. I like to build things. It's not as good as Kim's. Hers beats me by a long shot, but
I didn't build mine. I mean, that's so cool that you built that.
So handy, Jen.
I know.
yeah. So and we have a double kegerator. We call it the twins.
I have
Nice.
I should have called them the kegerators.
You were born to be on this show. All right, so let's do this, and I'll tell you what, you actually sound a lot better right now too, because I bet it's using the microphone on your
Yes, I bet
earbuds,
it
Jennifer. But so we got much improved sound quality all of a sudden.
Oh,
So we'll
good.
take it. All right, so let's finish. We got a couple more questions left. All right, we're going to go to MJ.
All right.
He's a father as well. 88% of this is an easy. You know what? I'm going to skip that. It's too easy.
Nice. Thanks.
Give me this one. Who gets the most collect calls on Father's Day or Mother's Day? So do the fathers get the most collect calls on Father's Day, or do the mothers get the most collect calls?
How do they measure that?
I'm going mothers because do they call the fathers on Father's Day?
Okay, so mothers. So Jennifer, Mark says mothers get the most collect calls on Mother's Day than fathers do on Father's Day.
Sure, I'll agree with that.
That would be incorrect.
Shoot.
What? I'm shocked.
Mothers get the most calls, but
Ah,
fathers
okay.
get the most collect calls.
Oh, that's a
Trick
trick
question.
question.
Trick question.
Yeah, the key word in there was collect.
Yeah.
Collect, yes,
Is
collect
there
calls.
still such
How do
a
they even
thing as
measure
collect
that?
calls?
All right.
Can
we're
you
gonna
do
go,
that
I'm going to
still?
go back
I
to
don't
Dina.
know.
I think you can from prison.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
This is our last one. Last one.
Okay.
This is for Dina, who has a greater impact on whether a child is left-handed? The mother or the father, Dina?
Ooh. I'm going to say the mother because she's the one that helps them most with their homework.
Okay.
Because I
Jennifer?
know, like, my kids, when they were right in preschool, they said try to keep them using their right hand, show them how to use it. I'm going to go with mom. That's my final answer.
All right, Jennifer, what do you think?
I can't argue with that explanation. That was pretty good.
You say
I feel
understand?
really wrong.
I'm still in the
I
calls
can't
question.
understand that.
That would be correct. It is the mother that has a greater impact on whether the child is left-handed or
Hey,
not.
Phil, speaking of left-handed, and everybody should check this in your newsrooms, our newsrooms have 75% of our producers are left-handed.
Wow.
Wow.
What?
You guys check it out at yours and see if that's the case.
Okay.
Go around and ask them. They'll think you're weird, but ask them anyway.
Wow. Okay. That's strange. Well, anyway, hey, thanks for playing along with us, Jennifer. You did a great job on that. And
No problem.
you will, obviously, as you grow into motherhood, you'll learn more of those answers and have your own questions to ask in the future. But hey, Dina,
Okay.
you've got some Stormfront Freak swag, right?
I do. I have
what
a
do you
shirt
have?
and
What
a
do you own?
hat.
Okay.
I have a shirt and a hat. And that's it.
Shirt and a hat. Okay. Well, it will tell you what, you've got to tell your friends to check out the Stormfront Freaks podcast store at stormfrontfreaks.com. So whether it's for you or a storm freak like us, we can deck you out in some great swag with our sweet tornado logo. We've got men's and women's Sport Tech t-shirts like Dina has. We've got professional embroidered polos. I know Maz has one of those. And we've got sweatshirts for those cool fall nights. No matter what it is, we've got the gear for you. Visit and share the Stormfront Freaks podcast store at stormfrontfreaks.com. So we're going to take a short break. Our podcast listeners will hear the latest edition of the Titans U Minute with Chris Sanner. But stay right here. We'll be back with Jennifer and the Freaks to discuss the mixed hurricane warning messages being conveyed on television and social media.
Boom.
All right. We'll take a quick break.
Phil, you had a little Harry Carey action going on there. A nice little shake of the head there.
I had to swallow. I had to swallow, and that sentence was really long, and I bust it out without having to stop and swallow. So I got to drink
That's like
beer.
a personal problem.
Yeah, Tina.
It is. It always has been. It always has been. All right.
I have to like dish it out. I haven't seen you guys in a while.
That's true.
All right. Jennifer, do us a quick favor.
Yeah.
We want record a little plug for us. Just say, this is Jennifer Gray of CNN. You're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Okay. This is Jennifer Gray of CNN. You're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Wow.
Very nice.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
No
You did the
countdown.
first
She
one.
got it in the first take.
Awesome.
Right?
No, Tori didn't even get it in the
No.
Oh, I'll have to give him some shit about that.
Yeah,
Please.
you're the first person in probably 8 episodes that got it, that could say Stormfront Freaks podcast the first time.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
good.
man.
That
And
was
she's
good.
in
All right.
England, had like 4 hours of sleep, probably.
Yeah, true. All right, well, let's do this. We'll let's just quick come back from break since we had a little pause there. We'll just, coming out of break, I'll just introduce the fact, and the discussion I want you guys talking about is the message that we're sending the public when it comes to tropical storms and hurricanes. Obviously, the challenge being, what the dangers tropical storms can bring, and not only the wind, but surge, rain and flooding. You've got tornadoes. I mean, there's just a lot of crap that comes with that. So what's the focus, and do we collectively as media outlets need to go, okay, what are we going to focus on, or are we scatter shooting it? And then you got the problems, as Jennifer was talking about, with social media and other people kind of jumping in with their own 2 cents as well. But maybe just talk a little bit about what messages are we sending and what should we be sending. Make sense?
Mhm.
Cool. Who wants to? I'll bring it up and open it up for discussion. And Jennifer, I'll just start with you. I'll just kind of go to you to just talk off the top of your head, whatever you think. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
So I'll count it in. 3, 2. All right, welcome back. Hey, we've had a very active tropical storm season already this year. Maria's making another mark in the Caribbean as we speak. And there's a big challenge with hurricanes and tropical storms in that they can bring tornado force winds, heavy rain, and storm surge, which both can cause devastating flooding. And they also bring hard to spot, quick developing tornadoes. So with all of these dangers, you guys know we're seeing mixed messages, not only just on TV, but also on social media with what the true threat is and really what it should be. So what should our local and national TV weather faces be focusing us on? And from a national level, Jennifer, and obviously you have experience on a local level as well. Let's start with you. What have you experienced in the message we're trying to send? What do you think we should be sending?
I think the biggest challenge is just that every storm is different, and there's so many different parameters that you're trying to convey. I mean, these storms, like you mentioned, they have a lot of wind, they have rain, and depending on where you are is going to depend on what you're going to get. And so I think that's the biggest challenge when you have, say, a landfalling hurricane. You can't compare it to Andrew because somebody that lived in Fort Lauderdale did not experience the same Andrew that Homestead experienced, or even someone in Miami. So you have that. But you also have, depending on where you are, maybe for somebody, the wind is going to be the worst part of it. Maybe for somebody that lives 30 miles away, the rain is going to be the worst part of it. Maybe somebody in a different location, the surge is going to be part of it. And so I think it's challenging just to channel all of that to get people to understand what is going to be the worst for me and what's going to happen with this. And not only that, we're forecasting these storms days in advance. And so when you're talking about a storm making landfall 3 and 4 days from now, it's really hard to pinpoint the exact location of where this is going to be. That's why we have the cone, and that's why we try to communicate the level of uncertainty with these storms. But even right as it's making landfall, if this thing wobbles to the east or west or north or south just a little bit, that's going to mean the difference between maybe somebody getting hurricane force winds and somebody not, especially when the wind field's only, say, 30 miles with some of these storms. It's such a small area. And I like to compare that with, say, the Storm Prediction Center. There's a high risk day. They don't pinpoint one exact city. They have a circle around a lot of cities, like a region. And so I think trying to communicate the uncertainty and not get people in their heads to think this is going to happen, it's going to make landfall in, Miami or just south of Houston. I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is to get people to understand what we're trying to say and the uncertainty in that.
Having worked in Miami, were you just amazed at Irma and the scope of the damaging winds across the entire state?
I was. And I was, when I lived in Miami, we didn't have any huge landfalls while I was there. I started in 2006, so I missed the 2005 season. But I was amazed at how serious people took the storm. I was really impressed with that. I have a lot of friends down there, and I'm still keeping in contact with everyone really well. And I was impressed because it had been so long since they had had a storm of that magnitude, and it's a transient place. A lot of people have moved there that have never experienced a storm. And so the serious nature in which they took the storm, I was impressed with. The Keys, just getting so much damage. That was heartbreaking. That's such a special place for me. I used to go down there once a week to go fishing and hang out. So it was incredibly sad, but that's another storm. Everyone thought that it was going to impact Miami, and then last minute it takes a little jog to the west, and the west side of the state gets it the most. So, it's there again, it's the importance of the uncertainty and that it's this entire region that could be impacted, not focus on one specific city.
I've got to give it up to Florida. They are one of the best states to get their together.
Yeah.
When there's a hurricane coming,
Yeah,
they get out. They're smart.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Do you guys see an issue from and obviously Kim and Dina can talk about this as well, challenge of covering from a national level when, as Jennifer talked about, certain areas might have surge problems, certain areas might have wind problems, certain areas might have rain problems. Can you really on a national level, when you're a national channel, do you think you can really cover that well?
I do.
Yeah, I'll tell you how we do it. And it's mainly like, we'll try to give you an overview and say, okay, these are going to be your impacts. This is where it's going. And then we'll break it down into certain pieces. Like, let's just talk about surge. And I think surge is one of the hardest things for people to understand. People don't know really what surge is until you explain it. And so you only talk about that. Okay, maybe it's 6 to 9 feet above sea level, where they're thinking, well, is that even bad? Sometimes you don't understand that. But if you give it to them like, hey, this will cover your first floor of your home, then they kind of get it. And Jen, you are completely right about all storms not being created equal, because like just now with Maria, when it went across Puerto Rico, they had only 6 to 9 foot surge, where like Irma had, say, 14. And that was like a cat 5 when it went over Puerto Rico. It's all like the bathymetry, like how it's oriented, how deep the water is. There's so many little factors. And, we talked to Brady about being in Florida and how his place was just wrecked and somebody else wasn't too bad. So, just 10, 15, 20 miles of a path makes a huge difference. And people, that's the one thing I think is what I think people don't leave for, is they think, well, we've lived through this before. We'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Or we're on this side of town. I heard this in Harvey, like, oh, well, they're up in the Northwest. We're fine. No, you're not. You got 30 inches or 40 inches of rain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have to break down every little single thing. Like, okay, you're going to have this, and this. All right, now let's go to this and just talk about this for a second.
Yeah.
Because if you throw it all at them at once, it's too much.
And there's still going to be people that stay. Like the people I talked to that stayed during Irma, they were in a place that was supposed to get 6 to 9 feet of storm surge. They only got like 1 to 2 feet. For whatever reason. I'm still searching for that reason why they didn't get, because I'm still trying to figure out storm surge. But now they were like, when I went and talked to them, they're like, yeah, see, I told you we should have stayed, because I was telling them, hey, you probably should leave. And now next time they get a storm system, they're not going to listen to anyone, because in their minds, they've already made up their minds that they're going to stay for anything now. And it's things like that can be really dangerous.
Mm-hmm. They're surely not going to listen to you.
No. I was like, come on. I was really glad that they didn't get hit hard, but
right.
Yeah.
And it depends on maybe it's not high tide. Maybe they were at low tide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which they were. Actually, that was part of it. They were.
Yeah, that's part of it.
And the angle.
What's interesting, too, is we've had so many storms on top of each other. It's almost like, and I don't want to say people have forgotten about Texas, but they're on to the next storm. Mm-hmm. The devastation and the aftermath that continues for so long, I almost feel like people have almost forgotten, unless you're in it right now, a lot of folks have forgotten about what's happening, or the rebuilding that will take months or maybe even years in certain places. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was seeing pictures too, like of a friend's house, and they had GoFundMe pages set up, and she was showing water, and it was up, like this was after the storm, that was still up, above her bathroom vanity, and you think, where are you going to go? How this is going to take so long to clean up. And we were talking about their cars, like your car's ruined. Even if you try to fix it and sell it, you have to say that it was flooded. I mean, there's just so many things, everything.
Yeah. I think as meteorologists too, it's important too that, because when I see a tropical system, I don't want to say excited, but I'm interested in it, and I want to talk about it to other people. Mm-hmm. I think us as meteorologists, we really need to be careful that we don't go too far out in the future, because then every tropical wave coming off Africa will be talking about potential impacts on Florida. And then when that doesn't happen, then you get a storm like Irma that's a direct hit. And luckily people did take it seriously, but I think you have to be very, very careful about how far in the future you let yourself, because if I'm put on TV, and more likely than not, I'm going to be talking about things that are still very, very, very far down the road, which, given the uncertainty, that's the crucial thing, is conveying that uncertainty to the viewers. And that's still something that, meteorologists across the country are struggling with.
On a national level, you typically don't start talking about, some of the effects that, people might feel until it's at least a couple days in there. And then you give like a broad, it's kind of like a triangle. You start out, the broad picture, of course, with tropical systems, you're going to get all these things. And then as the time gets closer, then you start narrowing it down. And then, kind of that point of the triangle, the local people take over, and then they get specific. But even at the Weather Channel, we got specific. We would zoom in, in the Miami area or Tampa area, whatever, and show where the surge is going to be the worst. So National can do that and has done that. And but overall, you just start out big picture, talk about possibilities so people can start preparing for it. As time gets closer, then you kind of zoom in on, more specific, some of the things they're going to encounter, and then just down to the, last minute. But I think you're right though, Brady, you can't start, 5 days out telling people what they can expect. You gotta wait
Did you see the GFS 346-hour forecast?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Not long enough.
I saw someone on Twitter that posted a NAM, of Josie slamming, Boston head on. And it's like, you just have to be wary of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's a balance because, I was talking to my friend down there, and it's like, if he wouldn't have left, 5 days before, he might not have been able to get out because of the fact that, he couldn't find a place to stay in Carolina.
Stuck in traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's like, you need to be able to give these people preparation, but you also need to convey uncertainty at the same time.
Because people are waiting to the last minute to evacuate because it might not happen, or is it really going to be that bad? And
the other thing that I think we struggle with too is, with social media, not only are you have just people posting just the most random, bogus, out of this world scenarios that have no credibility, but also like I notice a lot of people post on Facebook and then they'll post an update. But you know how Facebook is, it doesn't do just the most recent. And so old posts will continue to show up. And so I think that sends a lot of mixed messages too, with people not realizing that's not the most up-to-date information.
Right.
Very true.
Is it, Jennifer, is it hard as well, because Kim and Dina, they work at a 24-hour, their experience obviously has been in a 24-hour weather environment, and you with CNN, it's obviously not a 24-hour weather environment. Is it harder to try to convey the message you want to convey for a tropical storm when you've got 20 seconds or just 3 minutes to do that?
Yeah, that's been a huge challenge for us. Luckily, though, whenever something as big as what we've seen over the past couple of weeks with Harvey and Irma, they will give you a lot more time. And so you can break it down. Of course, like you said, we don't do weather 24 hours a day, but we do get enough time to, explain it the best we can. And I think that they've been doing a great job of it. I've been watching a lot of the coverage since I've been at home, but yeah, that's always a challenge, especially when you are on a time constraint, to try to say the most important things. When you want to be up there talking for 10 minutes about it, you got to decide, okay, what's the most important thing? How I'm going to say this in the most simple way, the fastest way to get the point across. It has created a huge challenge for me and for our department, whereas in Miami, we would go wall to wall and we would be on 12-hour shifts, and you could talk as long as you wanted to about something. Having to shorten that is super challenging. Absolutely.
Good. Well, we want all of our listeners and viewers, let us know what you think on the subject. You can email us at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com, or you can find us on Twitter or Facebook, and go ahead and tag us your thoughts so we can share that on our next show. All right, we're going to take our final break. The rest of you can refill your drinks with us. And when we come back, it's time for some great new WX resources. And you got to hear about this episode's Weather Fools. And those of you watching on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV, thanks for tuning in. We're here every Thursday at 8 p.m. And don't miss our new show on October 5th with the meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Norman, Oklahoma, Rick Smith. So we'll see you all next week. All right.
Cool.
Good. Jennifer,
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Jennifer.
That was a blast. I appreciate it, guys.
Did you finish your wine?
I have a little bit left, saving. I'm a slow drinker these days.
Savoring it.
Yes, I'm savoring it.
Savor.
Chris keeps filling it up, right? We're
No,
like,
I haven't done that once.
Aw.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. You
You're
guys did a great
welcome.
Thank
job.
you so much.
No
yeah,
problem.
you were
Tell-
great, Jennifer.
No
tell
problem.
Chris thank you for babysitting and all
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I always said hi.
I will. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye.
All right, have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
She is so cute. I swear.
She is. I know
Can you
it.
imagine how cute that baby's got to be with a
Oh,
so beautiful. Her husband's so handsome.
I
That kid's
know.
going to be a movie star.
yes.
A
I
looker,
think the
as they
same
say.
thing.
It's gonna look
I
like
re-
Brady, right?
Ooh, look like
So says Brady, right?
I love it. Brady, I love that, man. That's
All right, all right. So yeah, so quick before we jump back. So yeah, so these gals. So that's why I asked you what your favorite alcohol to mix with is,
Yeah.
because I told them, hey, come up with 4 or 5 drinks, and I tried to give them some name ideas that either had something to do with the show, and I did give them some name ideas with each of your names attached to it.
Ooh, what'd you pick?
Oh, good.
Come on, tell us.
Yours is hooch.
Is
I'm
it a
sure.
secret? Yeah. Her
let me see if I can
Hoochie
find
mama.
what it was.
Hoochie mama.
You know
It
me so
probably-
well.
you guys, it probably wasn't that creative. You're maybe overthinking it. I don't know. Let me see. No, I'm not going to want to tell you because I'm like, damn, I'm going to talk.
Bob's drink.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's what they were. MJ's Storm Spotter, Kim's Screen Share Drink,
No way.
Sanders Tornado Titan, Dina's Lift This,
Oh,
yes.
Brady's Pretender,
Ah,
and
I like
That's
Maz's
cute.
One-Liner. Those
Oh,
are
those are good.
maybe.
That's great.
They have to
Love
pick
it.
them, so I don't know that they will. But I also had one of the options was Brady's grandma. That might be.
Oh, I like that. That's
Shirley Temple.
So yeah. Anyway, so we'll see what they come up with. And I will be getting, like I said, I should be getting probably in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be getting a lot of radios, like weather radios. We've got Sanjin, we got Eaton, GPX, which is Weather X. So I'm going to be getting a lot of radios. We might be getting some toys, some weather kids' toys.
Nice.
Aw.
Might be an option there too. So anyway, once I get it all, I will email all of you and say, here's what I got, and just kind of let you guys pick what you want, and then I'll send it to you for your review.
okay.
And I don't think, Brady, I don't think I'm getting any water.
No water.
This year.
Dang
Cross
it.
water.
Sorry.
Dang it!
Or whistles. I don't think a whistle was one of the
I still gotta find that. I might have lost my whistle.
Oscar
one of the
Mayer.
options.
That's
Whistle.
kind of
And we're gonna have lots of giveaways too. So we'll be able to give away all kinds of stuff. and
Good.
get our listeners and viewers some good weather toys for the holidays. So it should be good. All right.
Okay.
Maz, Weather Resources, Brady, Weather Fools.
beautiful. I've got both.
I got both.
We'll start with WX Resources. Maz, you'll take it out of the break.
Okay. All right. So I've got Brady, Dina. Who else has a resource?
I do. Phil.
Phil, Pop,
I do.
Kim.
Yeah, I've Phil, I got the one you sent me from the listener, but I'll wait and do that during listener comments.
Okay, that's fine.
Is this episode 36? Is that what this is?
Yes.
Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
All right, and I do have a Weather Fool.
I do too.
I do too.
I do as well. Actually, I've got technically 2. If I've got, I guess I'll just
Well,
play the
everybody
audio.
brought it today.
I'll just play the audio through my phone.
Yeah,
'cause I
everybody
wanna play
did
this
bring it
audio.
today. Way to go.
When you
I'm
screen
proud.
share, is there a way to play? Is there a way to play audio? Through
No.
your two screen share. Okay, so I'll
Not
just.
really.
I've got the tweet on my phone, so I'll just play it through my phone. It's pretty great. Okay,
Okay.
it's pretty awesome.
Okay.
I knew everybody
Okay.
would have it, so I didn't bring one today. So
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Psychic.
You know, you could have just
Iconic.
not said anything, and no one probably
Of
would have
course.
even realized
I know
you
it,
didn't have
right?
one
Yeah.
Maz, but
That's
you had to
right.
bring it up, and now
That's
everybody knows you didn't
That's
bring
right.
anything.
You're a slacker.
The team's only as good as the weakest member. Just remember that.
The missing link.
All right,
Oh,
our weakest member. Why don't you go ahead and we'll take it out of the break.
All right.
Go ahead when you're ready.
Oh, ready? Anytime?
And don't forget, episode 36. Show notes. Episode 36.
Show
notes.
notes.
You can count
Stormfrontfreaks.com.
yourself in.
Yep.
today's the last day of summer, by the way.
Oh, Kim, I was happy until you said that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it won't be when this
I
airs.
love fall.
right?
That's right.
No, that's true. It
True.
will not be.
It's true.
That'll mess everybody up. All right, y'all
Okay.
start.
Oh, and hey, Brady, you still are bumping your thing.
Yeah, well, I was typing.
What?
Cut it
What's
out,
he doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, well, okay, I wasn't
Show
during
me
the
your
show.
hands. Show me your hands.
You're bumping
I was
it.
bumping it right now because I was just getting this website.
You have like a late term.
You were doing it before. You were getting excited when you were talking
Wait,
to
really?
Jennifer.
Oh, dude, I need
Yeah.
to get a higher table. The table is
There was some
keep
thumping going on.
Oh,
I'm going
I
to call
keep
you
Oh, we are
Thumper.
going downhill.
bumping my
Fast.
knees.
And we're still live.
Thumper.
Okay.
All right, Matt. Ready when
Here we go. 3, 2. Hey, welcome back. It's time now for Weather Resources. I know Brady says his segment's the most exciting. I think this one is because it has the
Whoa.
coolest places to go,
Whoa.
and you can actually utilize this forever. So let's kick things off with ladies first. Dina, what do you have for a resource?
All right. So we were just actually talking about tides and surge. So I'm going to, let's see, share my screen.
It's been a couple
And this
months.
is, I know, it took
Oh,
a
look
second.
at that. You got
Look
it.
at
This is
that.
NOAA Tides and Currents. And this is great. You can pretty much go anywhere you want, pick the state. What I use this the most for, I put it on Google Earth because you may not know, like when you get to Massachusetts, like where you are exactly. But what it'll do is you can click on any one of these places and it'll give you the high tide and low tide. I use this a lot with these last few hurricanes. So you can kind of time when the highest tide is compared to like when a storm's coming. And that's when you're going to get the worst surge. But it's good just to know it in general in case you want to just know it if you're at the beach. But I really like that. I used it all on every hurricane.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I like the Google
Love it.
Earth part of it. So if you do
Yeah.
it, just click on that. And that way you just interact with it and click different places. Like if you want to go all the way up the coast of Florida, you can just keep checking it.
Dina, does it have anything storm surge data on there?
No, it's just tides, really.
Okay.
So you got to kind of look at the cone and the timing compared to
Okay.
the high
Okay.
tide. Yeah.
Perfect.
How close can you zoom in? Can you get to like drone mode or?
Right.
No, there's only there are certain points.
All right.
But like sometimes you look at it, you're like, I don't know exactly where these places are. So that's why I like Google Earth, because then you could just click on the map and it'll give you the same data.
Very cool. I'm going to use that. All right. To our other lady. Hey, Kim, what do you got?
Hey, okay. Well, let's make sure I can do this. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay. You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
You've been practicing.
Oh, I have been practicing. All right, so this is an NCAR UCAR site, and what I wanted to show here was, by the way, it's www.ucar.edu if you want to go there. And I go down here, I like using this, to the real weather, and that takes you to this page where it has satellite radar surface upper air forecast. And let's say you want to look at some surface observations the last couple of hours across the the U.S. You click on surface, and it takes you to the U.S. And you can put an end date, an end time, the loop duration, 1, 2, 3 hours. And so let's say I'll do 3 hours. I'll click on, let's go down towards Montgomery. Click on that, and it should start looping the last 3 hours. You could see the surface observations. So, every good meteorologist always begins with an analysis. You look at what's happening now in the atmosphere. So I like going to this page and just looking around the country with that. But also you can do it with upper air. It's the same thing here. All the millibars up to 200. Also radar. And on radar, you can see velocity and also reflectivity. And I think lightning, you have to subscribe to get that one. And then for forecast, you click on forecast. And this one, let me see, I'll go over here. And for some reason, it's not going. You know what? It takes a little while to get to that one.
Slow.
Yeah, I think it takes a while to go there. And satellite, the same thing. You can on satellite, of course, you got water vapor and all the good images, infrared. And the same thing, you can, pick the loop time you want, the area that you want, it will do that. So this is a great one, I think, for analysis. So if somebody wants to, come in for a weather briefing, they want to do their own briefing, they can look around the country and get this good information. Also on radar, I believe it also does skew-T analysis. So,
oh, I love that.
Yeah, so for all
or
the cities.
T-skew, as I call it.
Or T-skew.
Nothing
No,
like a
Phil,
good ski,
it's not
ski diagram.
T-skew.
Right.
That was
You would
32 skidoo.
You would fail the test.
Thank you.
So anyway, that's mine.
Anyway, that's awesome. Are you guys all amazed at how much data is actually out there these days?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
I use that for, Kim, I use that for a couple class projects.
Oh, you did really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
What'd you get? Did you get
Well,
an A?
A minus.
All right, Brady, back to you then. You got one, don't you?
Oh yeah. So I was looking with Hurricane Irma and all the tropical activity. Actually, let me share my screen first. I was looking for a good real time forecasting map of like a big picture kind of coastal website. And this is from NOAA. It's called. Actually, there's no www, which is weird. It's nowcoast.noaa.gov. And you can see this legend on the right. There's a bunch of different layers you can do, including surface wind gusts, wind speeds, air temperatures, dew points, cloud cover, and this is forecasts for the next 6 hours. You can see it only does the United States, basically, in the coastal waters of the United States. So it cuts off here around Dominican Republic, but there's Maria down there. So it's showing you the wind gust. These colors of the wind gust, I think blue is 20 miles an hour, purple is 30 miles an hour. So it's really cool. There's a bunch of different stuff you can do on this website. It's basically on the top. It says, it's NOAA's web mapping portal to real-time coastal observations, forecast, and warnings. So it gives you really a big picture kind of. It even has Jose up here as well. So it's really helpful to getting the kind of big picture.
Oh, that's a good one, Brady.
Yeah,
I've never seen that one. That's good.
Does it have sea surface temperatures on that one, or does anybody know where you can find that?
I believe it definitely should for
I have
sure
one.
on here. That's wave height, but I know for a fact that it should somewhere. But I
And
don't
then
see
how
it right
how
here.
often do they update? That's the next question. Especially with all these hurricanes,
Oh, it was last updated at 9:21 and 10:15 right there. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
I'm assuming
great.
they update it. I'm assuming they update it pretty regularly since this is real time from
Okay.
NOAA. So
Okay.
pretty
Awesome.
cool.
All right, Phil, can you top that?
No, I can't. Well, you know
Okay.
what? I might give it a shot.
Let's just skip it then.
No, I'm gonna go to Greg Johnson on Twitter. Greg Johnson is a storm chaser from Canada,
Wow.
but he was recently up in the Yukon, and he took some amazing time-lapse photography of the Northern Lights. And normally I'm a storm guy. I don't get into a lot of the
Wow.
Oh, wow.
space.
Wow.
And so normally I might not get into and get excited about Northern Lights, but I'll tell you what, this is some beautiful stuff that he
Holy
took,
crap.
and I was so amazed, and just thought this was definitely a good WX resource. So Greg Johnson, you can find him on Twitter at Tornado Greg is his Twitter handle. I will put the actual link to this time-lapse video he had dated September 20th if you want to check it out.
Phil, how long do you think that time lapse? What time period do you think it spans?
I have no idea,
'Cause I'm
because obviously there's different angles. So it's been in different locations, so it's a compilation
Yeah.
that he's put together. But
it looks like those clouds were moving very fast, so it definitely looks like those northern lights are moving pretty good.
And it's set to
Yeah.
music too, right?
yes, it is. If you want to listen to it, yeah.
That's cool. I like that one. Hey,
Yeah, I
A
did
plus
too.
on that one, not an A minus. Nice job.
Dang
Phil.
it!
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you.
Come on.
All right. Hey, if you missed any of those links, you can find them on stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 36 show notes. And that way you have links to absolutely everything, just in case you're driving on the road right now and listening to our podcast. All right, Brady, what do you got for your
All right.
part of the show?
Well, it's this is my part. So this is everyone's favorite part of the podcast. I know it's mine. I've gotten a lot of viewer reviews coming into me just all over the place telling me that this is their favorite part. So what is Weather Fools? Weather Fools is basically we look at these past 2 weeks. We look at someone in the news or on a YouTube video or a funny weather comic that we can share. And it's pretty good. So, Dina, who is your Weather Fool this week?
All right, let me share this. All right, so this is a video, and even the description says these guys watched a storm barrel over their lodge, and they're kind of just like filming, and it takes about a minute to get into it, but then all of a sudden it strikes a tree. Let's see. Give it a second here. Oh, I got to move it forward. And then it takes, you got to go almost a minute into it because they're like kind of I'm just going to watch the storm and take a video. And then it hits a tree and it explodes.
Oh my God.
And their reaction is so funny.
Like audio reaction.
you go.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We saw the flash.
No
And
way.
you got to watch it because you need the sound. You hear him
Yeah.
screaming and this tree just pretty much explodes. You could see it kind of
See
come
parts of it in
down.
the ground.
Well, I'd like to see.
Oh.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's so,
Unbelievable.
and it's funny because their reaction makes the whole thing. I mean, not only is it good lightning, but it's their reaction is what makes it.
They probably have to check their
At least
pants.
they were inside. At least they were inside.
Yeah.
They were safe. Although it looks like they were in
website?
overnight.
What's that website? Yeah.
Oh, it's from dukinmedia.com. I'll send it to you and we can put it on our show notes.
Okay.
Because it's kind of a long
Okay.
website, but it's hilarious.
Awesome. Well, Dina, that was awesome. Kim, I'm dying to hear, what is your weather fool this week?
It's not as exciting, I don't think, as mine in the past have been. But all right, so mine is actually wrong one. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this one was a reporter and anchor. This is on MSNBC. She was, and behind the woman is somebody. This is during Irma, by the way, and this, I believe, is in Florida, and there is somebody behind this reporter who is kite surfing.
Oh,
and
wow.
you have to see this to believe it. I mean, it's so choppy. These waves are huge. This guy is out there kite surfing.
God.
Look at this.
Dude, what are you
And he
doing?
goes under. He goes under, but he's able to get himself back up again. But she starts freaking out. The anchor at MSNBC is like, "Oh my gosh, look at the person behind you!" And then they start talking about how dangerous it is, and he's just out there like, this is awesome. And
I'm
look at
surprised
this.
he doesn't take off like a radio song.
Yeah, like a radio.
Oh,
Really?
I
You get some
know.
good measurements up there, right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh my, exactly.
This is why I want to start a webpage called "Why Women Live Longer Than Men." You know how many of these things I see
Right.
every day with
Right.
videos? Like,
Oh,
this
what
is
a
the reason.
Hey, how do you know that's a guy?
I know
That's
it.
true.
Oh, it's a guy.
You don't know
It's
for
a
sure.
dude.
Oh,
It's from a
guy.
distance.
It's a
But
guy.
it's funny because
It's a dude.
you guys will have to watch this and listen to it because they're talking about how dangerous it is and how dangerous it is and the wave heights and the rip currents and all this stuff. And then there's this guy kite surfing behind her, and it's kind of funny. It's like, is it really that bad if this guy? Of course, it is, but it just was kind of funny. But that's
Man,
my.
I'm gonna have to learn how to kite surf. That's for
I
sure.
know, me too. It looked very cool.
I like
Is that
that
what it's called?
CG. It
Kite
says, "You
surfing?
will not survive this surge."
Yeah.
It's back there.
Oh, that's
All right,
great.
that's mine. Okay.
Well, Kim, you undersold it. That was pretty incrable. So.
Oh, good. Okay.
It was
See,
awesome.
that's how
And
you
the,
gotta
sc-
do
the
it.
screen sharing was flawless. That didn't even
Wait,
notice it.
wait, Dina was yawning.
I'm just tired. I got to get up in 2 hours.
There you go.
Oh,
All right, we'll move
Tina.
things along here, deal. Move things along. All
Move it
right,
along,
Phil,
Grady.
Phil, who's your weather fool this weekend? It better be
All right,
good.
so my weather fool is not a particular person. It's how many of you saw during Irma
Yep, I saw that.
when the tide waters receded because the surge, it was like an anti-surge,
Yeah.
and people were up in Tampa Bay and up all along the entire western coast of Florida. People were starting to walk out into the empty surf, the empty beach, and they were getting out their ways. The picture I'm showing right now from Twitter isn't one of the worst actually that I've seen. I've seen some where they're way out there, and I'm like, you know what? At any moment, that could come back, and it could come back a lot faster than you might be able to run back in a sloshy sand environment.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so
there's kids in that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you
No
teaching your
kidding.
kids?
Look at
too?
this dude. Like, yeah, I'm gonna take my kids out to the Coral Beach
Yeah.
today.
So my weather fool is more of a collective weather fool of all the people that thought, oh, that looks cool. I'm going to go out and go out as far as I can out into the ocean
my
where there's
kid.
no water. With my kid, right.
It's like a
That's unbelievable.
tsunami, the
Yeah.
same idea, the
Yeah.
tsunami, and
Let's
people
all
go
go
out and
sit
collect
out the
fish.
shore and watch the tsunami.
Yeah.
Yep, that's crazy. All right, Phil, that was great. I'll continue moving along here. So my weather fool this week. I don't know if you guys have heard of a guy named Frankie McDonald, but he is
Does he
a
have a farm?
notorious. No, he did not. He actually lives. He's a I
He had a hamburger
believe
store.
I believe he's a meteorologist in Nova Scotia, of all places. And here he is giving a Puerto Rico hurricane warning for Puerto Rico. I'll just play the audio because you got to hear it. I'll play both at the same time.
This is Frank McDowell, my own TV station live from Sydney, Nova Scotia. Attention, citizens of Puerto Rico.
Oh my gosh.
Attention, citizens of Dominican Republic. Hurricane warning.
And that goes on for another
Oh my
minute
God.
38 of him just losing his mind.
He's crazy.
Who
I've
the
seen
hell are
that
you
God.
before.
following, Brady?
Okay,
He's crazy.
Videos retweeted from friends.
Okay.
But this guy, he's notorious for making these kind of just unbelievably over the top crazy weather videos.
Jeez.
So
Frankie
like,
McDonald.
his latest tweet was a picture of him riding a shark in Disney World. So
Oh my God.
that's pretty great.
The
Okay.
infamous Frankie McDonald weather report.
Yep. And then his second picture is a Photoshop of him in outer space with just like a bunch of himself surrounding like faces. You just have to check out his Twitter account.
You got to totally like make a GIF out of that and then meme it
Yeah.
with whatever
Yeah.
whatever warnings
Wow.
you need to. Yeah.
His Twitter handle is @FrankieMacD. So
God,
Anyway.
you're really gonna even give that out to everybody? Huh?
Oh yeah. Well, hey, it's going to be on the show notes as well. All right, Phil. All right. I was getting to
That's-
that
yeah.
point.
How'd you
all
get
right?
a million followers in one night?
Yeah, exactly. So this is all these weather fools are going to be on our show 36, right? Show 36 show
Episode
notes.
36,
Episode
that's right.
36 at stormfrontfreaks.com. And you know what? Check out the store while you're there. There's some pretty sweet gear. I think I'm going to do that tonight as well.
Nice segue.
All right.
Sounds like a plan. All right, let's jump to our listener questions and responses. MJ, what do we have from our listeners tonight? Even
All right, we've got a few. Lunalite at Obsidian Wing, and I suspect she may also be one of our YouTube viewers. She tweets, "You really should invite Daniel Shaw onto your show." And by the way, no, that's not the character from the TV series Chuck. Daniel Shaw is actually an Australian storm chaser, so she's giving us a suggestion.
That'd
We
be
might want
cool.
Now, what's
Check him
Chuck? Is that
That was a show.
to.
Okay.
Yeah, you're too young, Brady.
Seriously?
Sound like a
It's been
sitcom.
off a
No
while.
Or
way.
a sitcom, yeah. Yep.
it's like a
No
spy
guy named
sitcom
Chuck.
or something. Yeah, I know
I
somebody
liked it.
named Chuck.
Lunalite also tweeted a weather WX resource suggestion. It's an interactive globe called Earth Wind Map. Very, very cool. You can rotate it around and see the entire Earth and all kinds of different wind patterns and other a whole bunch of other things. It's a great resource. Maybe
Cool,
I may use that in a WX resource.
That's awesome.
Is it a link?
Segment next time. And yes, you can find it at Earth Null, EARTHNULL dot. Oh shoot.
Yeah, Catherine. when Catherine Provis was on
earthnullschool.net.
here,
Earthnullschool.net.
Catherine used that one, remember?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
Catherine, when she, well,
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Brady had
Brady,
one
settle
here.
down.
One
Man
here.
down.
God.
Dropped. Oh,
Brady,
no.
Cut him
settle
off.
down, dude.
Cut him off.
Getting excited.
All over your laptop.
Thumping that
and
table a
everything.
little bit too much tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so she reminded us of that one. It's a very cool resource. And Jennifer at JStar79 tweets, "This is the coolest cup I have. Thanks to at Stormfront Freak," and she had a picture of our Stormfront Freaks cups. I suspect
nice.
she picked it up at the Bill Paxton event.
Raise the
Yeah.
price.
Yeah,
Raise
that's
the
awesome.
price now. 'Cause we got good.
Go from free to more free.
So thank you everyone for listening and participating.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, that I think about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast and Stormfront Freaks Raw. Thanks for listening and watching. Please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on your podcast app. Also, special thanks to our guest, Jennifer Gray. And for those of you that want to know, our next episode in 2 weeks, recording live on October 5th, will be with Norman, Oklahoma's National Weather Service warning coordinator meteorologist. Mr. Rick Smith will be our guest in 2 weeks. So be sure to click subscribe on your podcast app to be notified when it's available. Go to stormfrontfreaks.com or our YouTube channel if you would like to watch the recording live, like we're doing here tonight.
We expect lots of people from Oklahoma to be on watching next time, right?
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
I would imagine that. And Rick Smith is also a regular on the Weather Brains podcast as well.
Cool.
So people might know him from there. But for MJ, Maz, Brady, Kim, and Dina, tonight I'm going to signal the all clear. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bam.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Brady, you got to settle down, my friend.
Wow, holy
One
cow.
drink, he's got to get cut off.
I remember my
Oh
first
my
beer, Brady.
Get out of here.
Oh, you are out of control.
I'm trying to match
007.
Frankie McDonald, my boy.
No, I thought you
Brady
meant this
is-
Frankie.
Oh.
Double OC.
Frankie, right.
Out of control.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right, guys and ladies.
Go,
All right,
Go to
everybody.
sleep.
go get
Sounds
your
good, everyone.
power nap, Dina.
Yeah, good night, Dina.
All right, I'll talk to you
Remember,
guys.
Okay.
you got a
Thanks for
week.
being
You got a
on.
week after tomorrow. You're good to
I
go.
can't wait,
Hopefully there's
guys.
no more tropical activity.
Oh my God! As long as Maria stays offshore, I think I'm okay.
It's
There you
better. I'm going to Boston next weekend.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah, offshore. Okay.
If
I
she
did that
doesn't,
in a
I'll
weather
take care of it.
briefing.
I'll take
I
care of
briefed
it.
everybody. I'm like, it'll stay offshore. Don't worry about it. They're like, do we need to staff up? I'm like, no, it's good. We're all good
Very good.
because I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You won't be there.
All right, you guys, have fun.
All right,
Bye,
bye,
Dina.
Dina.
Bye.
Out.